Harry drove downtown. By 9:15, Richard Sykes was leafing through his portfolio. The LA Times photo editor took his time, stopping to praise shots he liked, and Harry got a hopeful feeling. He was tired of eating patty melts every night, longed to splurge on a juicy steak at Taylor's, onions fried and butter sizzling on top. One of the managing editors came in, a florid-faced guy named Didrikson that Harry knew from around. "Who's the kid?" Didrikson asked Sykes, inclining his chin at Harry. "This here is Harry Jack, a fine photographer. He's looking for a job." Didrikson took a long look at Harry. "You a kike?" the man asked. Harry got to his feet in a hurry. "What's it to you?" he said, in a voice that asked, "Want to make something of it?" "Where are you from?" Harry took his time putting his photos back in their sleeves and packing up. He noted the half pint in Didrikson's back pocket, the smell of spirits on his breath. "Boyle Heights," he said finally. "Why?" "Before that, your grandparents." "I don't know," Harry said. "Some little shtetl in eastern Poland that's changed hands so many times their heads get dizzy trying to figure out which flag to fly. Got a hammer and sickle on it now, I suppose. A Jew, that's what you are." Harry felt the blood pounding at his temples. "'Cause the Times don't hire Jews. Probably a red to boot. Sykes here ought to have saved you the trouble." "Harry," Sykes said, "I'm really sorry to put you in a spot like this." He turned to the managing editor. "Didrikson, you're an asshole. Get the fuck out of my photo lab. Don't you have any copy to mangle?" "Never mind, Richard," Harry said, trying to look down his nose at Didrikson, which was no easy feat, as the editor towered above him and outweighed him twice over. "The man is a bigot and a bully. Somebody ought to strap him down and read him his own paper's coverage of the Nuremberg trials. Maybe then he'd understand what this leads to. Didrikson, I wouldn't take a job at your pig swill paper if you offered it to me on a platter." Didrikson didn't wait for Harry to finish before he swung, but he must have been pulling on his bottle for a while because he missed wildly. Harry stepped in and hit him squarely in the jaw, and the big flaccid man fell back and landed on his backside. There was the sound of breaking glass, then a piercing shriek as Didrikson levitated off the floor, cupping his posterior and screaming, "My ass!" His shrieks brought the Times Mirror security goons at a fast clip. By the time they threw Harry and his portfolio out of the building and onto the sidewalk, his left eye was already swelling up and one leg throbbed. But Harry was more worried about his photos, which now lay scattered along 2nd Avenue. Training his good eye to the ground like a cyclops, Harry stooped and began to collect his precious photos. From their guardhouse, the uniformed goons smoked and jeered. Down the street, 2 ladies dressed in black negligees leaned out the 3rd-floor window, kibitzing before the lunch rush of reporters, cops, politicians, and businessmen. Seeing him, they shouted out helpful instructions. "Yoo-hoo, you missed one over there," one called, extending a boysenberry painted nail. "By the fire hydrant, quick, before the car runs it over." Crawling along his hands and knees, Harry was so intent on his task that it took him a while to become aware of a kid in grubby pants who had picked a photo out of the gutter and was now plucking a bit of dried leaf off of it. Turning his good eye, Harry looked and saw a thief bent on stealing his work. "Hey you," he called, "what do you think you're doing? That there's private property, hand it over." The kid froze, and Harry pushed himself upright, cursing Didrikson, the guards, his sore leg, and his bad eye. The kid looked at his outstretched hand and handed the photo over. "Thanks." The kid shuffled and stared with undisguised curiosity. "You can move along now," Harry said. Instead, the kid bent down, picked up another photo, and held it out to him. "I don't need your help. Beat it." Harry saw one of his best photos out in the street now, with a city bus bearing down fast. Mayor Fletcher Bowron, tie loosened, hat askew, celebrating his latest election win with a bottle of bubbly. Harry had just enough time to get it before the bus ran it over. He started for the street, only to find himself restrained by invisible arms that yanked him back. "Why, you," he said, arms flailing, his dander up, the guard's laughter ringing in his ears. He turned and swung. An absurdly light figure went flying, landing with a limp flop on the sidewalk. Too late, Harry realized he had cold-cocked the kid. As he squinted to inspect the damage, a black car whooshed past right where he had been heading when the kid pulled him back. He hadn't seen it coming because of his bad eye. Just then the bus rolled past, destroying his prize photo. Harry groaned. "Kid," he said, shaking the inert form. "You okay, kid? Jesus, I'm sorry." He looked up and beckoned to the guards, who watched impassively from their guard hut. "Hey, I need some help over here." One of the guards stepped out of his box, leaned over, and spat. Realizing they'd be no help, He leaned down, scooped the kid in his arms, and stopped back to the 20-cent auto pay lot where he'd left his car. He removed a knapsack on the kid's back and dumped the unconscious body on the back seat. The kid was light as a puppy. He had a musty smell and gray skin. 12 years old, tops, Harry figured. Needed a bath real bad. He placed a thumb against the kid's twig-like wrist, feeling for a pulse. Nothing. Maybe he didn't have the right place. He removed a lens from his camera bag and put it to the boy's pink and chilblained lips. Watched it smudge. So the kid was alive. Now what? From the car, Harry's police scanner crackled. The body of a young woman had been found in a ravine below the Hollywood Land sign. Harry looked at the kid, then back at his scanner. Holy shit, that would bring every news photog in town running in at a fast clip. What if the Dahlia's killer had struck again? That sicko had never been caught. If Harry managed to get off some good shots, he'd have every paper in the country screaming for those photos. Harry cursed some more. He should take the kid to the hospital, but then he'd miss the shot. Hollywood was 15 minutes away, less if he hustled. He knew its side roads and hiking trails better than most, having spent a lot of time photographing wildflowers there when he was younger. A little hobby of his, nothing he'd ever show anyone. "I'm sorry, Junior, but I gotta do this," he said. "Hope you understand."